For those who follow me here know that I'm a big fan of Twitter, and even one of the first ones with an account there, as I managed to get using them with only 2 letters. But any social media today is a platform, and even Jack Dorsey, Twitter co-founder, knows that it is better to build a protocol and not a platform, as we move from dumb terminals to powerful devices to cloud, and now everything is centralized again. Now, about this. Twitter is that fabulous place where no one is happy, and I love it. My best rants are on Twitter, and jokes too, such unscripted material. Anyway, Twitter got a bit different in the past decade, and I've been there for the past 14 years. But it's not only Twitter that is a cesspool of trolling, bigotry and hatred. Facebook, for example, is far, far worse. And these platforms, some feel, have become too aggressive in policing language and are systematically silencing or censoring certain viewpoints. And here I'm excusing myself from all the right left-wing hate, cancel culture and democracy attacks that happen on these platforms. And all of this is even before talking about privacy or lack of on those platforms, with all the data they collect, the other that they sell, and how you're chucked with ads that know more about you than yourself. But all of this, I think it creates a crisis inside and outside of these companies. They are constantly struggling to deal with their own positions of being arbiters of truth, kindness, being historians and salesmen, whilst defending free speech. What is clear is that there is no simple solution to these challenges, and most of the ones that are normally presented tend not to deal with the reality of the problems, or not to understand the technical and societal challenges that likely make them impossible. Some have argued for much greater policing of content online. And companies like Facebook, YouTube and Twitter have talked about hiring thousands to staff up their moderation teams. On the other side of the coin, companies are increasingly investing in more and more sophisticated technology help, such as artificial intelligence, to try to spot contentious content early in the process. Since there still appears to be no sincere effort to stop this disconcerting behavior, I think it's time for social media companies to be liable for any bias or unethical impropriety of their employees as other media companies. If these companies want to continue to act like a biased medium and publish their own agendas to the detriment of others, they need to be held accountable. But the silver bullet might not be any of that, but actually what we had before all these platforms were created: protocols. An internet was built on top of them, and not platforms that create all today's problems. This is an approach that will bring us back to the way the internet used to be. The early internet that evolved many different protocols, such as instructions and standards that anyone could use to build a compatible interface. Email used SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Chat was done over IRC, Internet Relay Chat. Usenet served as a distributed discussion system using NNTP, Network News Transfer Protocol. The World Wide Web itself was its own protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol or HTTP. In the past few decades, however, rather than building new protocols, the internet has grown up around controlled platforms that are privately owned. These can function in ways that appear similar to early protocols, but they are controlled by a single entity. And now some of you are thinking that this is being repurposed as Web 3.0, or as I've seen it already, Web 5.0, the decentralized version of platforms, protocols for short. Indeed, some of the platforms today are leveraging existing open protocols, but have built up walls around them, locking users in rather than merely providing an interface. For example, Google's Gmail service is based on open email protocols like SMTP and IMAP, but with additional features built on top of it. Facebook uses Signal protocol to handle end-to-end encryption for its WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger services. However, the argument presented is that we need to move much more to an open protocols rather than platforms. Bottom line, moving to a world where protocols are not proprietary platforms dominate would solve many issues currently facing the internet today. Rather than relying on a few giant platforms to police speech online, there could be widespread competition, in which anyone could design their own interfaces, filters, and additional services, allowing whichever ones work best to succeed, without having to resort to outright censorship for certain voices. It will allow end users to determine their own tolerance for different types of content, but make it much easier for most people to avoid the most problematic ones, without silencing anyone entirely or having the platforms themselves make the decisions about who is allowed to post, like in the old days. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.